also too for the same language. So I was like, yeah, probably because the host family be like, say it's not about what are they saying?
There's a mutiny going on here.
All right, we've got 6 o'clock. I'm here to call this monthly meeting of the Utility Commission to order. It's Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. Matt, could you take a roll call for us when you're ready?
Andler.
Here.
Sanderson.
Here.
Hammer.
Here.
Tome.
Here.
Rule.
Here.
Finkler.
Here.
And Curtis is excused.
All right, this meeting has been noticed in accordance with state statutes and local ordinances. The next item then is to approve the agenda for the evening.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion on the motion? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? The agenda is approved. Public comment. I see no one present this evening for public comment. So we'll move on to the consent agenda, which has 2 items, which is the approval of the April 17th meeting minutes, and then also the approval of the utility department's cash disbursements report and accounts payable report. Are there any questions on any items on the consent agenda? If none, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Were you doing it all at once?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you have a
We
question?
can't ask questions?
Yes, you can on either of them.
Yeah.
Go right ahead. Did you have a question on the cash disbursements?
Open Point. Any idea what Open Point, $1,200 monthly subscription, what is that?
It's our software program. It's asset management software. It's critical in the electric utility. It's the GIS system, work order. That's a critical component for the electric utility.
And then on the 24,319, City of Columbus, can we break out the pilot payment separate from all the other things that we pay the city for? That would be handy.
I can,
Instead of lumping it all together, the idea is to compare pilot payment expenditure versus all the other extra city expenditures, and then ask the question, well, shouldn't that be included in the pilot payment? You can't tell when it's all lumped together.
I will talk to our treasurer and see if that can be done for the next month.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we did have a motion and a second to approve.
Who was the second?
We didn't have a second. I'll second.
Okay, sorry. All right, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further questions, all in favor, or no, actually, we need a roll call on that.
Sanderson.
Aye.
Hammer.
Aye.
Tome.
Aye.
Rule.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Andler.
All right, let's see, new business, number 3, consider and take action on a task order number 2025-CU02 for the Water Plant 3 preliminary siting study and the amount of $32,761. There's information in your packet with the
Yeah.
task order.
And I know this has been reviewed and discussed by previous utility commissions, but maybe the first time that this utility commission is looking at this. Ultimately, what this is looking at a future water plant. At best case, I've been told you're probably somewhere in the 6 to 8 years out, and ultimately what a previous study determined was, or it's my understanding it determined, that investing in water plant 1 based on the age of the building and that that building is I think dates back to the late 1800s, bringing it up to code and compliance, and with the idea that a lot of our discussion is trying to set the city up for 50 plus years from now in moving things forward, that now would be the right time to start looking at Plant 3. It would also provide enhanced infrastructure for potential additional development down the road. And this is essentially a study that would explore where the best place for a future water plant in the city would be.
Go ahead, Jack.
First line of the second paragraph, task order. Plant upgrade is 2.9 million. New plant cost me, it's 8 million. That's a healthy margin.
And again, these were previous discussions by previous utility commissions that I can't speak to the reasoning and all of that, but the previous direction has been, my understanding is to explore the potential for a third water plant as opposed to investing in the existing water plant one. Some of that is based on my understanding the limitations of water plant one in its long-term ability to serve growth of the community.
I think also the disparity is, if you read on, it also says that that doesn't include the improvements to the building that are required for getting it up to code and everything.
And I think there's a question of if you can bring that building up to code.
Right. So is this basically just to figure out where the best place for the new water plant would be?
Right, and so that then we have that data to be, because obviously acquisition of property would be the next step once you know, and it's not gonna say this exact parcel, it's going to identify a general vicinity of where it would be best located.
It's nondescript. The plant consists of building, echoing, one well, pumps, piping, valves, chemical, iron removal equipment, softening equipment, and an above-grade reservoir. And then it goes on. It's the type of stuff that ought to be fixed. I mean, this idea that a building gets old and we throw it away is what I always had a problem with. You go over to Europe and they're still using buildings that are, 1,500 years old. But we're going to throw it away? Then we'd have a building down there empty with no purpose, and then I don't know what would happen then. It's right next to the railroad tracks. Then there was a conversation about the well. I don't know. We'd be doing this because of the building and not the wells.
Again,
that
I
what-
feel like I'm pinch hitting on 5 years of history here, so.
All right, well, I'm not picking on you
Well,
personally.
no, I completely understand. There's been a lot of, so ultimately, what I've been told is today, if there were no water wells and we were trying to figure out where you would put a well, the railroad, middle of town, near the river, these are not places where you would site a well. And so add in the fact of the unknown cost of bringing that building into compliance, that it used to be a power plant and was, shoehorned in a water plant facility. I'm going off of what our engineers are saying, what staff has said, other, historical discussions of the community, that it doesn't make sense to invest in water plant one.
I'd normally buy that, but we just bought $6 million worth of electrical improvements last month,
No,
didn't we?
that was
We agreed to, get rid of the old 4 kV, which we've been doing for like decades.
But
And
all that
then they
was,
outlined things, I thought the bottom line was like 6 million to do that, right?
just to clarify, all that was discussed last month was recommendations. Right? And there's several steps to go. There's been no money committed to that project. It was a presentation. There's later discussion tonight about, how that gets phased and what years and all that.
I thought that was the price tag, whether it's approved or not.
The conversion is one thing, and then there's the recircuiting and the replacement of substation, but I think the total
The
build
title
out
is,
cost.
this is
Yep.
starting to add up, and then you want to do sewer plant improvement and two. The idea is maybe we shouldn't do it all at once. Is kinda
This
what
is
I'm
just a
leading up to.
study.
This is a study.
We're
and-
not approving the actual new building.
And the other thing that I'm gonna push back on is that mentality is what's put us in the position we're in today with a dilapidated police station, a dilapidated fire station, haven't progressed on water, electric, or sewer, and now we're in the position that we've got significant needs for all three. The can's been kicked down the road as far as it can be kicked in pretty much every piece of infrastructure in the city.
I object. No, the utilities were invested in well. If you're assessing a community water system, you look at fire flows, and the fire flows are healthy all across town. Our reservoir system is healthy. We have new 6-inch mains all around town and bigger.
We did
We
just-
have lots of water capacity, I think. These two wells, quoting the numbers here, I mean, what I was gonna lead up to, and you don't have, I know you probably don't have the answer, but when we assessed whether you need a new well or not, you would ask the question, how many hours a day does it pump? If it's pumping 15 or 20 hours a day, you're probably running out of water. You should look at getting a new well. But if these two wells together are pumping 800 to 1,000 gallons a minute, that means they could pump 500,000 gallons of water in just like less than 10 hours. But I don't know how often they're pumping, and there's no specific information about, what the capacity for each well is. So the wells, I think, are probably good without having the hourly well logs. If they're not pumping that much, you don't need a new well. Then it's only the case of the building. This is why it didn't get fixed before. We had plenty of good water. I mean, and that's with excluding well number 3 over at the new facility. This stuff was not pushed down the road. We had a good fire flow, great storage, and great pumpage. So the idea that it's dilapidated and been deferred, I would take exception to that, I guess.
Well, we've got almost $1 million that we're looking to invest in Plant 2, and it's my understanding that during that work, Plant 2 has to be shut down. And so then you're solely relying on Plant 1. And for a majority of the latter half of 2024, Plant 1 was shut down, and we were relying solely on Plant 2.
How long was
Plant
Say it
1
again.
down. Well, it came back online 2 weeks ago and had been down since fall.
Yeah.
For what? Why was it down?
They were getting off topic.
Yeah.
No, it's the, do you need more water wells?
We're
That's-
going
that's the topic.
backwards, Jack. I think that's what the study is supposed to show us.
Yeah.
And also, we did just have to repair the reservoir down at the old plant as well because of its age. And this isn't committing us to doing it, but I can see the list of responsibilities we have with the state and the DNR just to find a place that would be suitable for a plant and finding out whether or not that would suit the needs of the state to even do it. So, I mean, this is really far off.
Well, if you,
So here's some notes from somebody paying attention at home. 2.9 million is a 2022 number. Current number for the new plant with updated dollars looking forward to when it's built, and Brooke was correct with what he stated. The building's in the railroad right-of-way land. There's concern about contamination. We have a $250,000 gallon deficit in our reservoir capacity.
250?
250,000 gallon deficit in the reservoir capacity.
That can't be, because we got 250 elevated, and then we got another 500,000 underground, right? That's a lot of reservoir. Who said we got a deficit?
the utility director watching from home.
A utility what?
The director of the utility watching from home.
Oh.
I think the other thing to consider too is if the city is going to grow in the future, we have to be cognizant of that. We may be okay as far as what the wells are delivering right now, but it seems like we've spent a lot. It hurts me more to put another roof on that building down there when that's been done 20 times to a building that's crumbling underneath it. And it seems like a lot of the infrastructure inside of the building is obsolete as far as the valves and the issues we've had down there too.
And the locations are an issue as well, not just the buildings. That could be mitigated with a new solution that's worth exploring, in my opinion.
If I may, part of a discussion earlier with city engineer is your growth is going to, our growth is going to happen as it does happen to the south and to the west. And so as you're looking, and it takes a period of time by the time that you do the study and then DNR getting the land, getting the DNR permits, getting the PSC permits. This is a long process down the road. So, as Matt had mentioned, we are 8 years down the road. But it behooves us to take a proactive look to have the study done to see where the best spot for a water plant going forward. There has been work done down at the other water plant. The size of the reservoir, while it's been in use for many years, it actually is a small reservoir to meet what our future water needs would be combined. So,
How many gallons are down there?
off the top of my head, I can't recall.
And then we have an underground reservoir at the new facility.
There's a reservoir there, and then there is their tower. Obviously, you want the water capacity for. I don't want to. If worst case scenario is the best terms, but you want to make sure you have good water capacity for any type of incident that would come up. So. Again, this is as a study to look down to the future as to what's going to best provide our community as growth does happen, and it will happen eventually, but growth is going to happen to the south and to the west. And we have to be proactive as what our needs are for meeting that. So
One follow-up. Just by buying the study, you're making a commitment
No,
to building it.
no.
The study will come back saying this is what you got to do.
It's gonna say where the best spot is if we do decide to do it. The study does not commit us to anything. It is literally just the study.
Well, I've seen a lot of them before. They come back and they encourage you to build more.
They can encourage whatever they want, but it doesn't mean we have
Well,
to.
if we can have
have to
this
do it.
conversation later after the study,
It might
fine,
even convince us.
but I suspect that, they're going to come back and saying, yeah, you need to do this.
But they can't do the study unless we approve them to do the study. So I think that's where the confusion is tonight. We're not deciding whether or not we need a new water plant. We are literally only deciding whether or not we need a study, that if we do need a new water plant, it's gonna be best located XYZ. That's it. No commitments whatsoever anywhere else.
I think the other thing to consider too is that by having the study done, they're gonna dig in a little bit deeper, but if something detrimental happens to one of the wells and we have to make a decision, we've got some numbers and some current data to look at to go, are we gonna reinvest in the old, or are we going to set ourselves up for building something new that's gonna suit us better? But we don't have enough data on that without doing the study and finding out where we could locate another water plant, so,
Right, the study's gonna be educating us on
Yes.
what to do.
yeah.
All right, no other lights are on?
Any further discussion?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve task order number 2025 CU02 Water Plant 3 preliminary siting study in the amount of $32,761.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve task order number 2025-CU02 for the water plant number 3 preliminary siting study in the amount of $32,761. Is there discussion on the motion? If there's, did you have a question, Jack? Go ahead.
Discussion on the motion,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think the case has been made that there's a need for a new well. Might be a need for building improvements, but without knowing how many hours a day our wells are pumping, you can't really say that you need a new one and then go have a study on where to put the new one. The standards that we used when I was doing this a long time ago was you'd have 1 day usage and elevated storage. And we had that when they put that tower up at Plus. And now we have underground reservoirs too. If your wells aren't pumping very much to keep your reservoirs full, then you have a great supply. And if you have good fire flow, your distribution system's in good shape too.
There was a
I think we
20
meet all those tests, so that's why I'm suggesting that, I don't know if you need to do this or not. Thank you.
There was a 2019 study done that said by Rupert Milkie that this was needed, that there is fire deficit, that we do have capacity concerns.
All right. Reagan, did you have any?
Yeah, personally, I think I'm voting not to approve relocating wells or creating new wells, but to gather more information so we can determine that this litany of issues that have been listed, if there's potential solutions that might include a new well. So that's my perspective on this step in the process.
Any further discussion? Could we do a roll call, Matt?
Yep. Hammer,
Aye.
Tome,
Aye.
Rule,
Aye.
Finkler,
Aye.
Andler, Sanderson,
No.
5-1.
All right, we'll move on to item number 4, which is consider and take action on another task order number 2025-CU03 for water plant 2 reliability and the amount of $68,650.
So with the task order from Rupert Milkie, this is on the work that needs to be done on Plant 2. I'll find my list here. The physical work that would be done are MCC replacements, softener reconditioning, repainting. The task order, I'll find that back. Kind of goes through, confirm sizing of equipment components, prepare the drawings, layout of drawing of existing motor control, existing SCADA panel, coordinate with suppliers, obtain recommendations, prepare intermediate final design for softener reconditioning, controls for filter and the MCC replacement. So this is Rupert Milkie's portion of designing the project, taking it to bid, and then bringing those bids back to you for review and potential approval.
So unlike the last task order, this is for work that we know that needs to be done, and Rupert Milkie's going to be doing the engineering portion of taking us through the bidding process and overseeing the projects that need to be completed.
Correct.
Okay. Questions?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve task order number 2025 CU03 for water plant 2 reliability in the amount of $68,650.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve task order number 2025-CU03 for water plant 2 reliability in the amount of $68,650. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, could we have a roll call, please, Matt?
Rule,
Aye.
Finkler,
Aye.
Andler. Sanderson. Hammer.
Aye.
Tome.
Aye. All right, we'll move on to item number 5 then, which is consider and take action on quote from T&D Products to replace 4 bushings on Substation 3 in the amount of $19,944. If I remember correctly, we talked about this at the last meeting,
Yeah.
so this shouldn't be new.
I think at the last meeting, there was a question of whether it was going to be 1 or 4, and Dalton's recommendation is to replace all 4.
Okay. Questions on this one? If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, have an opinion? You need 4, you need 1?
If you're gonna replace one on a power transformer, I would do, if you need one, do 4.
Okay.
All right, I will move to approve the quote from T&D Products to replace 4 bushings on Substation 3 in the amount of $19,944.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve the T&D Products quote for the 4 bushings on Substation 3 for $19,944. Any discussion on the motion? If none, could we have a roll call, Matt?
Finkler,
Aye.
Andler. Sanderson.
Aye.
Hammer.
Aye.
Tome.
Aye.
Rule.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to number 6 then, which is consider and take action on 2025 Water Simplified Rate Case Application.
I can just share that Michelle worked with Jake Tanner and put the application together. This is, from my belief and conversations and understanding, this is something that we're going to need to be doing on a very regular basis. We've lagged behind in our rate cases, and doing this on a more frequent basis and doing small increases is much more palpable than significant large increases over extended period of time. So this would go to PSC and is the simplified rate case.
Jack, did you have a question?
Yeah. How do we know that we need one other than the regular periodicity that you refer to?
Well, less than a month ago, we had to have a special council meeting to give a loan from the city to the utility to be able to pay its bills. So, I mean, that's a cash flow management issue, but I think at the end of the day, the data and the budget process is telling us that we need to look at rate increases. The cost of everything we do, the cost of construction, improvements, everything we buy is more expensive now than it was when the rate case that's currently in place went into effect. You're gonna have a very, there was a lot of discussion last year at the budget time about wage increases for staff. Okay, and you've got 2 water staff, and they're obviously the business office team, they do water work as well. So it's more than just 2 staff that work in the water area. If you're going to stay competitive with salaries and keep looking to increase compensation, these are things that have to be done on a regular basis.
I think I believe 2019 was the last
Yes.
rate.
Thank you.
So, I mean, this is a theoretical question.
Yep.
We're not assuming that we're going to do construction work by the rate increase.
The rate increase is as I
Inflationary.
understand it, the rate increase looks backwards, not forward. So your rates aren't going to change until you've done construction and work. The rate case looks backwards at the last, does it look all the way back to the last rate case?
I'm not real positive on that, but I know, yeah, I know it
They're
takes
backwards
into
looking.
account, yeah.
It doesn't look at your future capital. It doesn't look at anything forward. It's all looking back at previous expenditure history, borrowing. It's a very mathematical look at everything, and there's little subjectivity to it is what I've been led to believe.
And in this particular instance. Okay, in this particular instance, this is more being able to maintain the operations, in operation and maintenance part of it, so.
Any other questions on this one? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'm the motion maker today, I guess. I'll move to approve proceeding with filing the water utility simplified rate case application with the Public Service Commission.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to move forward with the water simplification rate case application.
Do we
for
know
2025?
how much we're raising it to? We apparently, like, we do a nickel or something per cubic foot, right?
The rate increase factor is 3% with an amount of $51,623. If the application is filed with the PSC on July 1st, new rates could go into effect as early as September 1st, 2025.
So it's gonna go from a nickel to a nickel and a half?
Well,
Per
if you,
cubic foot?
if you look on page 23, it gives a breakdown of, for like average residential, using 500 cubic feet as a number, it would go up $1.19 per month, so.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, could you take a roll call for us, Matt?
Andler. Sanderson. Hammer.
Aye.
Tome.
Aye.
Rule.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to item number 7 then, which is consider and take action on 2025 borrowing for utilities.
The updated amount, and just to explain the process a little bit, if this is approved or recommended tonight, we then send this to Ellers, who's our financial consultant, and Ellers will work with these numbers, look at, we've really, and again, I want to specify, staff is really, and our consultants have really focused on 25 and 26, knowing that that's what Ellers is really going to look at for this bond issue. So we've tried to narrow in those numbers, especially the 26 numbers, as close as we can. We anticipate that they may suggest borrowing both for the 25 amounts and 26 amounts in one issue, but we're going to let them determine that. From there, once this leaves the utility commission, it will go to Ellers, it will come back, and then the council issues the bond sale. So that'll all get scheduled and coordinated, working with Ellers moving forward. So a lot of these projects, all of these projects were included in the 2025 budget process. We've just basically updated the amounts, tried to sharpen pencil, look at, obviously with the electrical, incorporate the presentation from Forrester at the April meeting. Those numbers are incorporated here, not only for 2025, but moving forward. We've tried to even out the amounts from one year to the other in water and looking at projects and timelines. And our staff and I feel comfortable with these moving forward.
Do we assume that these are going to be utility bonds then?
That is a great question that I'm not going to try and guess an answer on. That's what Ellers will tell us. What I would suspect that's the case, but that's why we have Ellers. They're the experts in the bond issuance and will provide the guidance that we need with that.
The assumption that we would be doing 20-year bonds regardless of the type because of the amount?
That's another good question that I think that's what we've done historically.
The reason that I'm bringing that up is Having the vehicles on a 20-year bond bothers me a little bit because the lifespan of the vehicles is not going to last 20 years. And I don't know if it's city policy, but I know I had those conversations a lot when I was on council and I was the mayor. It just doesn't seem sustainable to be financing vehicles with 20-year bonds if they're only going to be in service for 10 years or less. So I don't know that we're going to fix that tonight, but if we could explore other financing options, maybe for the vehicles, to kind of keep them out of the 20-year.
It's a great point, and it's something that I'll make sure to highlight in the conversation with Ellers on what their recommendation is there.
Yeah, I know we've had a lot of conversations. I mean, everything else here is pretty much infrastructure, and that's what you have to do. You have to bond for it, but when it comes to the vehicles, I would like to see if there's an alternative, and I don't know if the commission feels differently on that or not.
And I could be wrong, but I always thought that utilities were financed through the depreciation account that we had. So,
We've done it that in the past, I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
There's also the, what do you call it? You get rid of the old vehicles and auction them off. Isn't there
Oh,
a
yeah.
separate fund too? I know we've used in budget times to finance more
yeah,
vehicles or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So that's really the only comment I had on
Mr. Chairman.
any of it. Go ahead.
So I'm looking at over $1 million in the reserve fund, energy efficiency fund, I don't know what that is,
He's back in,
water depreciation fund.
Are you
On this
back in the
page?
financial report, Jack? Just so we can
It's
follow.
page 7.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, we've got a lot of cash on hand. A lot of it was reserved to do the type of work that we propose borrowing the money for. So the question is, how does the borrowing funds for, I think it's 1.4 million, how does that relate to the money that we already have on hand? I mean, we got over like $600,000 in depreciation and for reserve. Wouldn't we use that money for those things that we need?
I think that's part of the conversation with Ellers, and I've made note of that we will talk to them about that. I mean, again, this is the project list, and what we work with Ellers on is the best way to finance that for,
Yeah, it would be a relationship. What should these balances be before you go out
right.
and buy a bunch of new stuff with borrowed money? I'm kind of thinking we'd draw some of that down.
I agree, and I think that that will get looked at. There's certain restrictions on probably each one of these funds about what it can and can't be used for, and if we do utility bonds, there's cash that has to be set aside, as you know, for those as well. So I think all those things need to get thrown in the mix when we get the recommendation from the bonding agents. But I agree, I don't want to be borrowing money if we have set aside funds we can use for offsetting the bonding, so I'm sure that will happen. So we're not really approving anything tonight, we're just giving you the go-ahead to kind of start the process at this point.
Yep.
Ultimately, does the commission have to approve any of the bonding, or is it all city council? Or if it is utility bonds, does it come back to us?
So I know there is something, the next step beyond Ellers is the council. Whether there's a further step that comes back to the utility commission is something that I'll have to learn going through this for the first time.
Okay,
I'm used to city council, so this is the, well, and part of it is it's like the nuances of different things, right? Especially if it is utility bonds versus revenue bond or however, whatever's determined moving forward, so.
go ahead.
In the past, anything utility related had to get approval from the commission to go ahead with the bonding. And then I think it was just probably ratified.
Resolution or something
Yeah.
from us, okay,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
okay. So what type of a motion do you need from us tonight, Matt?
I think just direction for staff to forward this list to Ellers.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the bonding request to Ellers.
I'll second.
No,
No.
it's just a request, the bonding request to Ellers. Yep,
Project list.
project list. Oh, I was reading off of the memo.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve moving the bonding list forward to Ellers for review. Is there any further discussion on item number 7? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Move on to number 8, Utilities Department Report. Anything to say, Matt?
I think the only one that I wanted to highlight anything here was number 9. If I get back to the right screen here. When I looked at this, I questioned whether we've celebrated this enough. And just wanted to call out here a little bit. Specifically this chart, and it's on page 32, at least of my packet.
Yeah.
It is, yep,
Yep.
Okay, John?
32.
When you look at Columbus's rate, and again, I don't know which kilowatt service you want to pick, but, a 500 kilowatt service residential at $67.15 in Columbus compared to We Energies at $106.91, Wisconsin Public Service at $89.45, Alliant at $97.14, Excel at $83.60, and MG&E at $105.81. It's the best deal in town. Or in
Who
the-
compiled this?
This comes from WPPI, I believe, is my understanding.
My first observation was
Yeah, WPPI records.
the comparables. I mean, Madison Gas, Electric, Xcel, and Alliant are all huge operations with a whole lot more overhead than we have. I would think an appropriate comparable would be Portage, Beaver Dam, Juneau, Lake Mills.
Well, Portage and Beaver Dam are aligned.
And I
Lake-
also
Lake
think,
Mills isn't.
I also think the alternative is for Columbus to run its own electric utility or for an investor-owned utility to provide the service. Those are our options. So if it's not Columbus doing it, we're gonna be, what would it be, Alliant in our
Probably,
region,
yeah, Alliant,
right?
yeah.
And so to me, I understand what you're saying, Jack, but to me, the comparison is, here's what we're doing versus the other option we would have if we didn't provide our own municipal utility. And I'm sure we can benchmark ourselves, and we probably often do, but I think this is a WPPI production that they provided to us, and I think it's really powerful information to share with our community and our ratepayers.
Yeah. Also in the packet, then, there's information about orientation to WPPI Energy. It's function on Wednesday, June 18th, 2025, and then also the live lines in the packet. Anything you wanted to add, Joe, or no?
If none of you have done the orientation to WPPI, I suggest that you do it. It's a awesome experience to go through with all the information that's provided, and then get to see the operations room where all the buying and selling of power is done. That in itself is quite something else. Also, a note that on September 23rd, MEUW, which is Municipal Electric Utilities of Wisconsin, is hosting district dinners throughout the state, and the closest one for us is Hartford. It's at 6:30 in the evening. It's a free meal, and then they have a brief presentation. September 23rd. It'll open up in August for registering, and all you'd really have to do is let Michelle know that you want to go, and I plan on going. So, we can carpool over. So it's in Hartford. They haven't got a location picked yet, so.
Okay.
Also I'd just like to share a couple of kudos for the
yeah.
electric utility. Last Thursday, Joe, myself, and Dalton were all in attendance at the MEUW conference. Columbus Utilities was presented with the Gold Category Award for Safety Achievement from MEUW, which is the highest category that can be received.
I think that's like five or six in a row now, so, of gold, yeah, so.
Also received a Safety Award of Excellence from the American Public Power Association, which is, if MEUW is the state, APPA is the national. And we were one of a handful of municipal utilities recognized with that award. And then also last Thursday, we had some interesting weather in the area. Have a very complimentary letter from Juneau complimenting and thanking our utility for responding and assisting in their recovery efforts following the tornadic storm that they experienced. I think there were a total of 10 municipal utilities that responded. I know in talking with Dalton, the initial estimate, I haven't heard updated numbers, but they had 35 poles down, including a transmission line. And obviously our crews couldn't do anything with the transmission line, but power was restored rather quickly. I think they were back up and running Saturday, or
Well, Friday,
yeah.
for the most part,
Yeah.
and then
And
they
then we had
went
some
back
crews
over.
go
on-
back over Saturday to assist with additional cleanup. So we had all 4 linemen and then 2 additional utility staff took the Vector truck over to assist on Thursday evening through Friday.
That's great.
That's all I have.
Anything else? If there's nothing else, we'll let Molly do her thing.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Get a motion and a second to adjourn at 6:46. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned.